There are a lot of investments we can make with our limited resources, our money into a new business, our time into our jobs, and our energy towards certain relationships. But not all investments are created equal. Some will pay greater returns in the long run than others. So in that spirit, let me review the 10 investments with the greatest return on investments, aka ROI. And we aren't limiting ourselves to just financial investments, but life overall. Because what is the point of having all the money in the world if we don't have our life, right? Alright, with that said, let's get right into it. The number one investment with the greatest ROI, investment in our health. It is health that is real wealth, and not pieces of gold and silver. This is a personal finance channel, so I speak a lot about investing, saving money, and growing your net worth. However, if you don't have your health, money doesn't mean anything. The way I look at it, with good health, you can do anything. Without good health, your options are quite limited. Paul Clinithi was in his last year of neurosurgery residency at Stanford when he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He wrote When Breath Becomes Air as an autobiography of his experience as a doctor and a patient facing terminal illness. The story was so moving because the terminal illness that Paul faced contrasted so much with the hope of the future that he was looking forward to after completing one of the toughest medical training in the world. In a snap of a finger, his world was turned upside down and he was looking at a completely different reality of the future. We will never know what life will throw at us. Diligently saving our money and investing for the future is a great thing. It sure beats not having money and living paycheck to paycheck. However, if we take it too far, we can spend so much of our energy living for tomorrow, we forget to live today. And health, unfortunately, becomes an easy scapegoat for many people. Warren Buffett said this: "You have only one mind and one body for the rest of your life. If you're not taking care of them when you're young, it's like leaving the car outside in a hailstorm and letting the rust eat away at it. If you don't take care of your mind and body now, by the time you're 40 or 50, you'll be like a car that can't go anywhere." So invest in your physical and emotional well-being by not postponing that visit to the gym. Or if you're weird like me, just get a squat rack in your home office. Don't sacrifice sleep with the excuse that you need to finish the next episode of Selling Sunset. And don't choose that bag of chips with the excuse that you need to decompress from work and that you deserve it. Dollar cost your health investment and do something every day that makes your body stronger and healthier. The number 2 investment with the greatest ROI, investment in relationships. We're all social beings, and one of the quickest paths to being sad, or if taken too far, depression, is to live life in isolation. No man is an island. So 1, invest in skills to get better with people. Read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People and learn how to build relationships. Learn to actively listen and ask them to tell you more. Learn to ask inquisitive questions. Learn to genuinely take interest in people. And take these skills and invest in building strong, authentic relationships with people around you. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. In today's busy world, at times it could feel like the extra time we're putting into relationships leave us with less to put into other things. Our career, our bank account, and our leisure. Yes, there might be some truth to this. We all need to invest in our careers and leisure time to a point. However, let's be careful not to do it at the expense of our relationships. Life is meant to be lived together, not alone. I don't do it perfectly by any means, but I try to practice this by blocking out time on my calendar for family time. After 7, unless there's an urgent deadline, time is blocked out for family dinner and evening routines with the kids. Wind down, a little bit of reading time, and sometimes an episode of Mark Rober if we have extra time. You know that other YouTuber that has a slightly bigger channel than mine? No, I'm not jealous at all. The number 3 investment with the greatest ROI, investment in education, investment in lifelong learning. The more wisdom we know, the more we may earn. That man who seeks to learn more of his craft shall be richly rewarded. If you want to have an extraordinary life, you have to continuously invest in education, learning and growing your mind. It is said that Warren Buffett spends 80% of his working day dedicated to reading and learning. When Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, was asked how he learned to build rockets, he said, "Simple, I read books." Charlie Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway with a net worth of approximately $2.5 billion, joked that he read so much, his children think he's a book with a couple of legs sticking out. Investing in reading and learning will pay dividends until the day we die. For me, this hits close to home because despite how frugal I may be at things, I'm actually quite liberal when it comes to spending money on my education. If there's a book that sparks my interest, I really don't think twice before buying it. If there's a conference that really interests me, as long as there's no scheduling conflict, I'm all for attending. If there's a course I feel I can learn from, as long as the price is reasonable, I enroll without giving it too much thought. Bottom line, just as you're investing in your health and relationships, invest in your education. If we encounter a man of rare intellect, we should ask him what books he reads. In the spirit of investing in our education, I highly recommend you check out Shortform. Shortform is a platform that produces super high quality guides to nonfiction books. They have thousands of books within multiple categories like money and finance, self-improvement, and business. Their guides not only cover all the book's key ideas, but they also add commentary as well as detailed analysis. I especially love how they reference other related books in their guide because I'm always looking for new books to read. And Shortform is also constantly expanding their library by dropping new book guides and articles every week. and subscribers like you and I even get to vote on which books they should cover next. Whether you want to discover new books or just want to get deeper insight about some of your favorite books, if you want to get serious about investing in your education, Shortform is the perfect companion. Join through my special link today and get a free trial of unlimited access to Shortform, plus an additional 20% discount on the annual subscription. It's not only a great way to expand your knowledge, but a great way to support this channel as well. Hopefully a win-win for all of us. Alright, with that said, let's get back to the video. The number 4 investment with the greatest ROI, investment in a strong career capital. In 2007, Steve Martin was on the Charlie Rose Show to talk about his memoir, Born Standing Up. He talked about his rise in comedy, and Rose asked him for his advice to aspiring performers. This was his response. Nobody ever takes note of my advice because it's not the answer they want to hear. What they want to hear is, here's how you get an agent, here's how you write a script. But I always say, be so good they can't ignore you. Cal Newport, a computer science professor, liked the statement so much that he wrote a whole book titled after it. So good they can't ignore you. And he also popularized the term career capital. Career capital is when you're so good at something, you have the skills that are both rare and valuable that you can use as a leverage for good pay and in defining your career. And like anything in life, if you want a strong career capital, you need to invest your time, energy, and effort. Do you want a job as a high-paying graphics designer? You need great graphics skills, so companies are seeking your invaluable service. Do you want a stable and a well-paid career in healthcare? You need certification, long training, and a degree. Or how about in the corporate world? You need competitive skills in core business functional areas such as marketing, finance, or sales to find a good paying job. It's hard. However, once you have a strong career capital, it will pay you dividends throughout your whole life. Your career capital will provide you with the fuel, money to invest in the market. Your career capital will open doors to bigger opportunities. And your career capital will give you life fulfillment because you're able to apply your hard-earned skills to add value to this world. The number 5 investment with the greatest ROI, investment in getting rid of debt. While on surface, paying down debt doesn't seem like an investment, it will net you one of the highest guaranteed return you can earn. If you're carrying a balance on a student loan with 8% interest rate, paying down that balance is equivalent to receiving an 8% return. That is the most straightforward 8% return you'll ever earn. Yes, the market could return you 8% a year. However, that is never guaranteed. It is volatile. You can have 15% return one year and a negative 20 return the following year. However, when you pay off debt, you're guaranteed that return. Or to state it correctly, not having to pay that interest. And it's not just a financial return that you're getting. You're also gaining the emotional benefit of being debt-free. Freedom, flexibility, and a peace of mind to take risks in life. Because you aren't indebted to a bank or a financial institution, you have greater freedom with your career, where to live, and just about anything else you want to do with your life. Yes, I know paying off debt is extremely hard. I know because I spent 3.5 years working with my wife to pay off $105,000 of student loans after we got married. But once it is gone, there's nothing more refreshing and freeing than getting to keep that money you bring in every single month versus sending it off in debt payments. So make that investment in getting rid of that pesky debt. The number 6 investment with the greatest ROI. Investment in the stock market. Based on historical data, the US stock market has long been considered the source of greatest return for investors. The S&P 500, the index of the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the US, have had an average annualized return of approximately 10% since its inception in 1928. Which means that it has outperformed all other types of financial investments such as real estate, commodities, and even art collectibles. Yes, there have been times in history when other assets have outperformed the stock market. However, over the long period, the stock market has proven itself as one of the best places for wealth growth. For example, if we had invested $100 in the S&P 500 index in 1928, it would have grown to over $700,000 by the end of 2022. In comparison, the same $100 invested in 10-year treasury for the same time period would have only grown to slightly more than $8,500. Gold? $8,800. However, this doesn't mean that we should try to pick stocks. One, it's not a good idea to invest all your money in just one company. You don't want the success of your entire portfolio to be dependent upon the performance of a single company. Ever heard of Blockbusters, Enron, or Lehman Brothers? Two, we'll never know what companies will do well or not do well tomorrow. There's just so much uncertainty to the market and the world overall. So what is the best way to take advantage of the stock market while mitigating the risk of individual stocks? It's by investing in well-diversified, low-cost index funds. Here are a few of my favorites. Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, also known as VTSAX. If you want the ETF version, the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, aka VTI. Vanguard S&P 500 Index Fund, also known as VFIAX. If you want the ETF version, the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, aka VOO. They're also some of the biggest index funds in the world for a good reason. Tying it back to our career capital earlier, as you build your career and earn more money, you want to start replacing your career capital with financial capital by investing in the market. Alright, before we move on, full disclosure. The next three I'm going to talk about technically are known to have the greatest investment returns. However, the reason I want to talk about them is because they can add some diversification and hopefully stability to our stock portfolio. So understand them and know that they're there, but don't think you have to make them a core investment in your wealth building. The number 7 investment with the greatest ROI. Investment in the international market. We're all pretty familiar with major American companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. But did you know that there are international companies that rival the size and impact of these giant American companies? Companies like TSMC from Taiwan, Nestle from Switzerland, Shell from England, and Samsung from South Korea. TSMC is a Taiwanese multinational semiconductor company and is considered the world's largest semiconductor chip manufacturer. Nestle is a Swiss food and drink company known for delicious famous snacks like Kit Kat, Milky Bar, and Hot Pockets. Shell is a well-known British oil and gas company, and also the place where I get most of my gas from, given that I have a Shell gas station right around the corner of my house. And Samsung is a major South Korean electronics company that manufactures components such as lithium batteries, semiconductors, image sensors, and camera displays. When we're only investing in US-based companies by holding only US-based stocks, we're potentially missing out on the portfolio growth that these international companies can provide. US stocks provide a great return for our investment, but US stocks still represent only about half the world's stocks. At the time of this video, the total stock market value of the world is approximately $109 trillion, and US companies represent about 46 trillion of that, or about 43%. The US-based companies are currently the world leaders in market cap and revenue, but who can confidently say it will stay like that in the future? In 1989, the Japanese stock market capitalized value was considered the largest in the world. However, it no longer is and has yet to reach its all-time high again. It would be unfortunate, but the same thing could happen to the US stock market. I personally still have strong confidence in the US economy and US-based companies as a whole, but I also have to continuously check my assumptions. If you want a specific fund, I recommend you consider the Vanguard Total International Stock Index Fund, also known as VTIAX. If you want the ETF version, Vanguard Total International Stock ETF, aka VXUS. The number 8 investment with the greatest ROI, investment in real estate. There are a few ways to approach real estate. You can buy and own individual rental properties and rent them out for additional cash flow. This strategy not only brings in extra cash, but your money is diversified within a different asset class. This is a strategy that my wife and I have taken because we like the idea of having additional streams of income. Now, if you don't want to do any work of actually owning rentals yourself, you can buy REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. A REIT is a company that owns, operates, and finances income-generating real estate. And the way to think about them is that they operate like a mutual fund. A mutual fund allows us to buy publicly traded companies without buying individual stocks. In the same way, REITs allow us to tap into real estate investment without having to actually buy, manage, and finance any properties ourselves. When we look at the data from the Callan Periodic Table of Investment Returns and overlay the S&P 500 performance over REITs, you see here several points in time when real estate outperformed the large cap market in general. 2006 and 2009 most notably. In essence, we can make the argument that the addition of REITs could offer some diversification to a standard equities portfolio, not moving in the same manner as the stock market. If you want a specific fund, I recommend you consider the Vanguard Real Estate Index Fund, also known as VGSLX. If you want the ETF version, the Vanguard Real Estate ETF, aka VNQ. The fund represents 165 real estate companies that represent all different types of property investments in the real estate industry. Think office buildings, hotels, and even residential properties. The number 9 investment with the greatest ROI. Investment in the bond market. Again, I want to reiterate that I'm not saying the bond market has the highest return on investment. However, the reason I want to talk about bonds here is because it provides an element of stabilization to a standard equities portfolio. During times of market crash, where your stock investment can dip by 20 to 30%, your bond investments will hold steady. Just take a look at the chart when I overlay the S&P 500 over US bonds. In 2008, when the large cap market crashed by 37%, the US bond market held steady at 5%. Yes, you aren't getting all the returns that the stock market is getting, but that is the whole point of having bonds. Thus, if you're nearing retirement and you want to tap into your nest egg soon, you want bonds in your portfolio. You don't want to be caught in a situation where you need to pull money from your portfolio when the stock market is down 20 to 30%, or worse, 37% like during the 2008 crisis. The best US bond I would recommend is the Vanguard Total Bond Market Index Fund, aka VBTLX. If you want the ETF version, Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF, aka BND. It holds over 10,000 varying bonds such as US Treasuries and mortgage-backed securities of all maturities, and all with excellent credit ratings, most US government or AAA ratings. Alright, the number 10 investment with the greatest ROI. Of all the investments we covered so far, from a financial perspective, this I would actually say has the greatest potential for highest return, and that is investment in yourself, or to say it another way, entrepreneurship. If you've been investing in all the areas that we talked about so far, you are at an amazing position. financially and in life. You have competitive career capital that companies would pay you hand over fist to leverage. You have a well-funded index fund portfolio that, if left alone, should allow you to have a comfortable retirement in the future. And you might be diversified in other asset classes such as international and real estate to strengthen your financial position even more. The world is your oyster as to where you want to go. If you maintain this path for the next 10 years, you'll surely be financially independent or be very close to it. But this could also be a point in your life where you might have the itch to try something different. And I would say, why not? Because you earned the right to by being fiscally responsible. And if entrepreneurship is in your blood, consider starting that business that's always been in your mind. We're living at an amazing time where starting a business is easier than ever. You want to build a website? You can do it overnight with many website builders. You want to prototype a product? You can work with the vendor overseas from the convenience of your home and have one shipped over. If you need an assistant, you can hire one quickly using platforms like Upwork and Fiverr, and this person could be on the other side of the world. Entrepreneurship can be risky. However, as I stated earlier, betting on yourself might be the greatest return on your investment. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. Thank you guys for watching. In the spirit of overcoming our fears, if you want to learn how to develop more grit, please check out my video here. Until next time, all the best.